It's your malpractice protection, and inside of protection, really it's protecting your assets and safeguarding your wealth, and so I'm happy to welcome Gary up to the stage and speak on that. Thank you. We're rounding third and we're heading home, people, so stay with us. We're almost through.
I'm digging the baseball analogies. Yesterday I was with my daughter's t-ball team, and I'll tell you what, they do not know how to round third, so we will do our best to round third. So a couple things. Number one, do you ever feel like you're paying more than your fair share in taxes? Many of us do, right? We're like, why am I paying so much in taxes? This doesn't make any sense. First thing I want you to recognize, there's different types of professionals. We need CPAs on our team. You have to have a CPA. That is the blocking and tackling. That is like just learning how to address the situation. I will tell you, the most underutilized tool that you guys have on the day-to-day is utilizing a CPA. You think they're a waste of money. They never talk to me. I don't know what's going on. You do want to find someone who's proactive. I think people who are proactive who show up where they're not getting paid. So first and foremost, Christy showing up, not getting paid to do this. You know what I mean? This is a really good step for her. CPAs have different roles and responsibilities. Their number one role is to make sure you file your taxes on time and get all of your chart of accounts, all your accounting done. Those are absolutely essential for what you do. The third thing that you have in finance is called a financial advisor. Your CPA is not a financial advisor when it comes to investing for retirement accounts. Okay, oftentimes they'll refer you to someone to do that. And the fourth person is someone called a tax attorney. Some CPAs invite a tax attorney to be part of what they do because they want a more robust structure and solidify that. The reason they do that is they want to look at the legal structure that the individual has that would open up specific tax strategies that are otherwise unavailable to them. It's a lot of different words. We're going to get into it though. Second thing is how to stop lawsuits. Lawsuits are a big deal in your guys' industry. I do this presentation a lot, and last year that I was here at the conference, we were flooded. There's a lot of you who are dealing with different types of lawsuits, whether they be medical malpractice, divorce, working with other business people, and just not understanding how the ins and outs of the law and why are they exposed. There's no shortcuts to any of this stuff. Just like there's no shortcuts in medicine, there's no shortcuts in finance. If you don't file your taxes on time, I'm sorry, you're going to get penalized for it. If you file your taxes inappropriately, you're going to get fined for it. Okay? If you overpay on your taxes, you don't get fined for that. So many of you overpay on your taxes not knowing that there's something else that you could have done. So we're going to talk about protecting yourself in three different ways. Number one, while you're as an individual, active income and passive income. Passive income if you have if you have stocks, bonds, investment portfolios, if you have things like residential real estate, commercial real estate that you don't live there, that's passive income. We want to protect you from tax. We want to protect you while you're alive, meaning today with what we're doing, as well as after you pass away. Many individuals think, well, I have a trust, so I'm good. A trust does not protect you from a lawsuit while you are alive. Sorry. It's a family trust. Now, there are some trusts that will protect you from a lawsuit. They're called irrevocable trusts. You can't change them. So if your life is not going to change, you're in a good spot. Just go ahead and put it in an irrevocable trust. If in the next 3 months your life is going to change like everyone else's it's not probably the best idea for you. Picture my family. I do it for two reasons. Number one, I was sued 14 and a half years ago now. My daughter had just been born. We have a 17, a 15-year-old, and a 6-year-old now. That gap was not planned, believe it or not. I know you're shocked. You're like, no way, dude. No. Nobody wants a 10-year gap. We have one, but it's awesome. We're really grateful for that. The reason why there's a gap is because that's the 4.5 years of a lawsuit is very stressful. My wife had 2 miscarriages during that time. If you don't think that stress is a part of lawsuits, you're up in the night. If you don't think that you have a possibility of being sued, you're up in the night. Okay? You have to recognize that these things will happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So what are you doing to protect yourself now? The structure that's implemented to save you money on taxes will also protect you from lawsuits. They're going to do both. Some of you are saying, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to be taxed as a sole proprietor, a partnership, if it's supposed to be an S corporation, or what. You can do both. No way, you can't do both. Yes, you can. It may not be for your primary source of business, but it can for other assets that you own. Are you managing your personal assets under your business? I sure hope not. That's called commingling. That's something your CPA will help you out with, okay? But you have to recognize there are different aspects of your life. You have to operate them differently. We make up 5% of the world's population. 90% of lawsuits worldwide happen here in the US because we are the land of the free and the home of the brave. How many people are willing to take your freedom because you were brave? You took the sacrifice. You're the one who invested in yourself. And like, yeah, that's free money. I want to sue someone who's successful. Because last I checked, no homeless person's getting sued these days. Okay? So you have to be the one that's initiating the control of how you're going to protect yourself. Now, insurance is important. Everyone should have insurance. Insurance is there to protect victims. If you have homeowners insurance and your house burns down, who does that benefit? You. But if a neighbor comes over, and I know it doesn't happen in Florida a whole lot, but in Pittsburgh I'm sure it happens more than not. If you slip and fall and hurt your head on somebody else's property, that's homeowners insurance. That's covering them. So where does the lawsuit stop? At what point can the attorney say, we can't sue this person anymore? When there is no more money to get. If you take money off the table, there is no lawsuit. Pretty crazy, right? Now I can give you example after example after example how this works. You can probably have them spinning in your head. It doesn't matter where a lawsuit starts, whatever's available in a lawsuit they're going to get. So you can't control the cause of a lawsuit, but you can't control the motivation, you control money. The cause of a lawsuit is always an accident. Nobody does it on purpose. Nobody does it on purpose. I have a 15-year-old child who's learning to drive. I'm telling you right now, I need asset protection more now than I ever have. Okay? It's interesting. I was sharing this. I had shoulder surgery about 3 months ago, and I was like, why do I need shoulder surgery? People are like, so what'd you do? Were you playing something? Were you doing really cool? I'm like, I'm an athlete. I used to be an athlete. And so I'm thinking, if there's going to be something happen, it's because it was cool. Nope, I got to pull out a luggage from an overhead compartment and it broke my shoulder, tore my rotator cuff. Right? Who would have expected that? The lawsuit that's going to hit you, you don't know where it's going to come from. It's going to come from left field. We're picking out all the baseball analogies. Could be right field because that's where I played growing up. Cool. These are different strategies that you can utilize. Okay, there's a lot of these. You're going to take pictures of these slides and you say, wow, okay, I'm going to implement those. Sounds like a good idea. I will just tell you these are not DIY projects. Okay, go home and fix your bathroom if you like to and spend an extra $10,000 after you figured out you couldn't do it in the first place, or hire somebody to do it right off the gate. Motivational assets. These are assets that cannot cause lawsuits. Do you have them? If they can't cause a lawsuit, can they be acquired in a lawsuit? Absolutely. This is the meat and potatoes of why they're suing you. If you don't have these assets, then you're totally good. Don't even worry about a lawsuit because no one wants to sue you. Okay? This is what they're suing you for. So my question is, what are you doing to protect it? What are you doing with your personal bank account? This is my personal bank account. What about my savings account? What about your stocks and your bonds? What are you doing with those? Well, the gold's underneath my bed. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do. Crypto, no one even can see that. Are they going to be able to sue me for that? Yes. Okay. If I could tell you could protect 98% of the value of those assets by creating one entity, would you be interested in learning what that was? Anybody? Any takers? A couple of you? Okay, one guy's like, I don't know about this. There's something called a family limited partnership. Now, I will tell you, by and large, most individuals do not even know what an FLP is. In fact, how many of you have heard of an FLP before? Okay, how many of you have one? Can I ask you where you learned about it and why you got one? Me. That's a good answer, a good answer. Okay, there's two different types of ownership here. There's a general partner and a limited partner. The limited partner is like you owning, let's go to a cruise ship for a second because I want to go on a cruise today. Are cruises enjoyable for anybody here? Yeah, why? Because there's no responsibility. Like you can do whatever you want, you can get plastered, wake up the next morning, no responsibility as long as you don't take your kids, right? It's great. Who has all the control? The captain of the boat. That's it. The crew. They have all of the control, so 100% of the control is right there, but they only have a liability of 2%. In your personal finances, you need to operate like it's a cruise ship. You and your spouse, if you're married, have a management company that owns and represents the 2% of the general partner. You get to dictate whatever you do with your money. But if something happens and you're sued personally, the maximum that anyone could sue you for is 2% of your personal assets. It's a good idea if you like to keep what you've worked hard to save. The 98% are you as an individual, and if you have any children or anyone who you support financially, they can be named as limited partners. The limited partners can't cause the lawsuit either because they have zero liability, because they have zero control. So when my 15-year-old daughter gets her driver's license and she gets in an accident, what I hope she doesn't, knock on wood, this is probably fake wood, but we're knocking anyway, okay? When she gets in an accident, she can't cause the lawsuit, even though she's an owner, because she's a limited partner. Well, guess what else? This is holding my money, and if I have investments in here and they're growing, I can now pay my child out of a partnership as opposed to an S corporation. I don't understand that. Why would that matter? If you pay a child out of an S corporation, you pay a 6% employer tax to pay the child, as well as, unless you want to 1099 them, which I wouldn't do, okay? You can do that, but if you go through a partnership, you don't have to pay self-employment tax just because it's a different type of a legal entity. So should your business be a partnership or an S corporation? This is why you talk to an attorney and a CPA and they can help you out with that. But you definitely need a partnership if you have children that you'd like to pay. It does not have to be your primary source of income though. Since 1974, you can't sue the 98%. Is there any legal precedent behind that? Only 50 years of it, okay? We're talking about laws that you guys are trying to pass right now for legal protections with insurance in the last 2 years. This is 50 years of precedence. The assets that cause lawsuits need to go inside of LLCs. These are the assets that actually cause lawsuits, right? So you put them inside of a limited liability company. Now here's what you need to recognize, that there are different types of entities, LLCs, FLPs. If a singular LLC is sued, they are supposed to only be able to sue the single LLC. But if you purchased a vehicle inside of the LLC and the vehicle gets in an accident, it's a good tax strategy, but now your entire business is exposed to a lawsuit. So have I bought the car in the business? You can create disregarded or pass-through entities that funnel right into it, or you just make it a personal vehicle, and that personal vehicle now rents itself out to the business. There's a lot of different ways to strategize that, but you're trying to reduce your liability, that was the point. What happened in many states is you would have an entity that caused a lawsuit, and there was enough value in other entities, they started doing something called pierce the corporate veil. Now the corporate veil is a fictional, it's not fictional, it's something we can't see, it's an invisible, there it is, an invisible line or wall that protects your LLC. To say if anything happens inside of the LLC, you can sue for it, but if it happens outside, you can't. Well, they dissolved the entities. This started in California. Imagine that, a California attorney citing for an attorney. It's crazy. They pierced the corporate veil, exposing multiple assets. So the question is, why do I have multiple LLCs if they can pierce the corporate veil? Because there's an entity required called a holding company. That holding company or asset management company manages the LLCs that are underneath it. Now, your primary business will not go underneath the holding company with the majority of your assets. It usually sits aside on its own. And we'll show you how to protect that. But at the end of the day, all of your other assets, like maybe if you own the building, if you own equipment, If you own a personal home, a second home, those are all assets that we need to put in entities to protect them. When you have a holding company managing all of your LLCs, these entities, if you place it in Alaska, Wyoming, North or South Dakota, or Delaware, it disallows a dissolution of entities. So they can't dissolve those other LLCs. It's reduced to the one entity wherein the lawsuit occurs. Who would do such a thing? Disney. Every single ride at Disney has its own LLC. Why? Because when you get hurt on a ride with whiplash, you get to sue that ride. And no one pays the rides. You go to a carnival these days, you're not paying the ride. You're giving them a ticket because you paid for all the tickets at the ticket booth. Because if there's a financial transaction, you can now sue the physical property. That's why you're doing what you're doing. You pay an admission to the park. So if you're going to get hurt at Disney, fall where you pay. That's the best place for you. They don't care if you get hurt at Disney. They really don't. Yes, they have insurance, but they also have no liability. So here's a claim, whiplash, great, $15,000. There you go. And 2 families will pay for it. We're good. Right? You know exactly what I'm talking about. 2 families. You go on one cruise and that's paid for right there. Okay? Remedies to a lawsuit are dictated based upon the state that you're in. So depending upon the state, you have different remedies to get your assets out of it. In Alaska, the only way that they do it is use something called the charging order. Now, the charging order goes into the verbiage of the documents inside of your business. Now, my CPA, when I first started, built my legal documents because I needed someone to do them for me. Okay? My CPA is not an attorney. Very good at taxes, knows how to file, but not an attorney. You have to understand the verbiage inside of the documents. There's something called a pro rata or proportionally rationed distribution clause that states in the event that there is a lawsuit, that assets must be distributed equally, when there's profit in a business, they have to be distributed based upon ownership. But also, if there's a lawsuit, that the judge can come in and force distribution and liquidation of your assets. So if you have an employee or if you have a partner that gets sued, all of the profits in your business are now exposed equally based upon the ownership percentages. It also gives the judge the right to force a financial distribution out of your pocket and give it to the plaintiff. You have given the authority to adjudicate a lawsuit and when payment is made by how you created the legal structure in the first place. Did anybody know they did that? I sure as hell did not know I did that. So I had to think a little bit. I was introduced to Legally Mine. They showed me this. They said there's something called a non-pro rata clause. This is in the actual print of the documents. You have to change the physical print. Less than half of 1% of attorneys in the country voluntarily list that they even know anything about asset protection. So if you've already created the entities right now and you don't need new ones, you still need them modified. This effectively blocks the judge because now you are the one who initiates whether you want to pay a lawsuit out or not. So here's a question for you. You're sued for $1 million, but the judge cannot force you to pay. When are you going to start? Never. You guys are pathetic. Seriously? You don't want to pay someone who just sued you? Are you legally obligated to do so? Yes. When you pass away or when you sell the asset that was sued. So here's my question for you. How are prosecuting attorneys paid? So prosecuting attorneys in the United States are paid on contingency. They get paid a percentage of whatever money is awarded in the lawsuit. So if a prosecuting attorney wins a $1 million judgment and then find out that the defendant is not going to pay until they die, that means the attorney won't get paid until the defendant dies. So why are they going to sue you? They don't. That whole rabbit hole of 4 years, 5 years, how long is this lawsuit? No one cares. There's no money at the end of the rainbow. Okay, there's no gold there. You can keep searching, there's not there. So they just don't pursue the lawsuit. As much as we think attorneys are about righting wrongs, they're more about money, right? That's what they're there for. They will then ask for money up front at the beginning of the lawsuit. And my question is, what's the percentage of lawsuits you believe happen in the United States today with medical professionals that are frivolous? 88%. So that means 88% of these lawsuits, they're not even going to be touched because no one cares. Okay? The real cases, that's what the insurance is there for. Make sure the victim's taken care of. But asset protection protects you. Asset protection says, I'm going to keep my personal money. The insurance policy is for $500,000 or for $750,000. Great. But you're not going to sue me. I'm done. I'm off this thing. Because you have no money. You, in the eyes of the law, have now looked homeless. There's one other thing I like about this. The individual suing you, the plaintiff, they will end up having to pay income tax on any judgment, even if you elect not to pay them. So now the plaintiff's like, well, there's no money in it for me either. In fact, I get to pay it out. So in the late 70s, early 90s, guess what people were doing? Or late 70s, early 80s, people were suing their attorneys for legal malpractice. Now the attorneys are stuck with paying the tax bill. Nobody wants to touch it. I'm going to go quick through this, guys. Trusts. There's a lot of different types of trusts. You got to create a trust that has a revocable trust that you can modify. That's the family trust at the top. Everything else funnels into it. Inside of there, there's a will. It becomes non-disputable when you pass away. If you do not have a trust, when you pass away, your family, your friends, and the government will fight over the assets that you left behind. Create a trust. The best time for a trust is now. It's not when you're ready to retire. No one plans when they're going to pass away. You have to prepare for when that happens. The two indicators for me, or three indicators to need a trust: when you have money that's over $100,000 of assets. Number two, when you're married. Or number three, when you have children. If you don't have any of those, you do not need a trust. Okay? If you have those, you need a trust, and you need it today. Tax savings. Does somebody here say they want to save money in taxes? Yeah? Okay. It's a two-leg thing. So just to be very clear, I am not a CPA. I do not file your taxes. She files your taxes. Right? I come into play and I say, I'm going to show you the tax strategies you can utilize leveraging the legal tools. And then we sit down and we work together on building you a strategy. There's nothing more fun for a healthcare professional than to sit down and watch a CPA and a tax attorney discuss how they're going to save you money in taxes. I don't know about that. We can't do that one. Really? Let's look at the law. What does it say? 73% of Americans overpay on their taxes. There's a lot of strategies we can implement. There's about 45 different strategies that we comb through. You guys talk about 280E. We talk about 280AG. 280AG says, I'm going to rent my entire house out to my business. Have you ever talked business in your home? Yeah. Could you formalize a meeting in your home and call that a business meeting? Potentially. Have you ever had staff over for a meal? Are your children in college and they're consultants for your business and you have to hire them to come over to your house to have a business discussion in your home? You might even have to fly them home, and that flight might have to be a business expense. It's getting a little shady, right? There's a difference between legal and ethical. Would we agree? Okay? Legal has a law that no one can refute. Ethical, you and I could refute ethics all day long. But if I could defend it legally, it can happen. You get to choose whether you want to follow that or not. We go to about a level 6 on a scale of 1 to 10 as far as aggressiveness. Most CPAs are about a 1 or a 2. They're filling out the forms. They're very good at what they do. But you did not hire your CPA to find tax strategies for you. I want to say that again. You didn't hire them to find strategies for you. Their goal is to be as efficient as they can at understanding how your finances work, categorize expenses, and then file your returns. That's what you pay them to do. They're very good at it. Do it. Then you hire someone else to help you build advanced tax strategies. Those guys get paid to help you save more money in taxes. In fact, I bet you if you said, hey, CPA, if I pay an extra like $5,000 a year, would you spend more time on my taxes to help me save some more money on taxes? For sure. They'd be financially invested in doing that. But that's really not their objective. I will tell you about 90% of CPAs just don't know how to do it. But there are some who do. This is considered non-taxable income. Sorry, I'm going to go back. Non-taxable income, you can do it. I know I got to be I'm done probably, but way over time. Okay? Non-taxable income, 14 days a year. Let's just say it's $1,000 a day. That's still $14,000 of non-taxable income. Many medical professionals are doing it for over $2,000 per day. That's $28,000 of non-taxable income. You cannot do it more than 14 days a year in your primary home. Okay, this is not the same as renting your home out in an office space. It is not the same code. It's a completely different tax code. Okay? Income shifting. Can you pay your kids? Yes, you can. I call this the Hillary Clinton rule. Why? Because Chelsea Clinton was paid $250,000 a year when she was going to college as an 18-year-old. Is that legal? Yes. Is it ethical? For them it was. Okay? There's another guy right now who saves a lot on taxes too that nobody thinks that he saves a lot on taxes and he's doing things illegal. It's unethical. Great. But it's not illegal. I pay each one of my kids. You guys see a picture of my family? All three of those kids are getting paid. This year, instead of $14,600, they're getting paid $15,000. Is that unethical? No. Because they're reasonably related to the production of income. Did they help articulate the necessity for asset protection? Yes. They're not Gerber. We're not Huggies, right? You guys don't, if you have an infant, unless you're doing Gerber and Huggies and CBD for infants, good luck. It's not going to happen, right? But as soon as they're reasonably related to the production of income for what you do, then absolutely put them on payroll. Okay? Hire a management company like Disney does. Disney employs 8-year-olds. How'd they do it? They hire their parents through a parent management company. It's a partnership, and they pay their kids through the partnership. They don't pay them directly. Hell to the no. You can't do that. Okay? You can see that you could really save some money on taxes. You have to leverage legal entities to do that. Okay? CPAs are not hired to look at your entire life situation to understand how you're spending money on a personal aspect. They do it on a business. How often do you do bookkeeping for personal accounting as opposed to just businesses? Never. Probably like 5% or less. That's where the strategies for asset protection really come in, or for the advanced strategies really come in. Okay? There's a lot more strategies we have for you. They're related to how you're going to spend your money. Research and development, I will tell you that my CPAs do not do this. I hire a specific CPA to do it. Just like when you have a heart issue, you refer it to a cardiologist. As smart as you guys are, you're not doing open heart surgery. Okay? You refer to a specialist that does something specific. Great. Do that. They're going to charge you for it, kind of like a cardiologist, more than you want to pay. Right? But at the same time, it's free money in this instance. It's credits. They're tax credits. It refers to the time that you're investing in the training and implementation of products and processes. Anybody here getting trained on that stuff right now? What did you do this weekend? Did you spend time doing this at all? Is that applicable to research and development? Some of it is, not all of it. But yeah, you can. There's a lot more to that. If you have employees that you're paying, do that one. If you don't have employees, it's just you, it's not worth it. Okay, it's related to your salaries that you're paying out on a regular basis. We did a pretty good job, I think, in the short time we had. I would love to talk with you guys. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about my business. We've been around for 18 years. We do very good at this. We are terrible with healthcare. We do not ask us to operate. We will not diagnose CBD, but we will take it. Okay? Our services are, we have different things that we do every single year for you. There's a small fee for that. There's a one-time fee to create as many entities as you need for not just now, but also for a lifetime. There's different packages that are available, so I want to make sure we have the right thing. We have a timeline that takes about 6 months to be completed. Some people are done faster, some are slower, but by and large about 6 months to be completed from start to finish. Our normal price is $13,800. At this event, we dropped the price down to, I think it's going to show you, $9,800. So if you're interested in working with us, myself and my associate Jonathan there in the back, he was also at the exhibit hall the past couple of days. Go talk to Jonathan, talk to me. We'd love to take care of you. We also offer what's called a tax savings guarantee. We will guarantee that you'll save your investment in new tax savings, or we give you the difference back. I hope that your CPA is crushing it and I cannot save you a dime. But statistically, they do a very good job at what they're supposed to do, and they don't look at the outside stuff of what they're not even, that's outside their purview. So let us introduce that to them and say, oh my goodness, yeah, we could reduce your salary by $30,000 and pay 2 kids. Really? Yeah. Or we could reduce your salary by an additional $30,000 and use corporate meetings out of your home. What? That's $60,000 that I pay $0 in taxes on. That's correct. And a 37% tax bracket, that's a big savings, about 20 grand. I don't like money. I'd just rather give it to the government. They do really well with my money. We're good. Okay? If you'd like to schedule a call, this is how you do it. Scan the QR code on the right-hand side. It does require a cell phone. So you open it up, you click it. It'll go through a little process like this on the left-hand side. You can also key in lm20.live/5B. It will not say the name of this event. I apologize, but it will still go to you guys. Okay? It'll open it up. There's a couple of times available. If you want to, you can change the date on the top there. And you pick a time. Once you pick a time, it'll say select and continue. After select and continue, put in your information. It'll go to me. It'll go to you. You can put it on your calendar, and we can have a one-on-one conversation. If this is something that you can benefit from, do not wait. Just go and talk to Jonathan or myself. We'll be here for another couple of hours, right? We've got nothing else to do other than catch a flight at 7 o'clock, right? So come and talk to us. We're really mean. We hate people. We do not like to talk. No, just kidding. This is what a blueprint looks like. Yours might look a little bit like this. If you are not a business owner, that's okay. You have everything else that you want to protect. You've worked hard for what you have. Let's keep what you have. There's the tax savings guarantee. I'll guarantee your investment. I'll give you your difference back. There we go. We'll answer some questions now. That was way longer than I wanted to go, but there you go.
That was really great. That was really great. I can say this because we're at the end. That was some good shit. So fantastic. So get with your strategist, your advisor, your lawyer. Obviously, all of those are different roles and responsibilities, which we will all equally benefit from. So thank you for that. So I'm going to open it up for these last couple of moments for questions. Anybody? I know you're anxious to get out of here. Yes, ma'am.
Where are you? Hang on, Judge, so I can grab this.
Thanks, and I'm going to try to make it make sense. This question is for you, Mr. Hunt. So, do the liability issues extend beyond physicians into other spaces with licensed professionals? For instance, so let's say you have a licensed psychotherapist who works with a patient who is dual diagnosis. PTSD and substance abuse. So for the PTSD, the patient wants to use cannabis as a strategy to help relieve the symptoms. But, so I guess my question is, this therapist views cannabis as a helpful treatment and even as a harm reduction strategy for their addiction, as well as the PTSD. Could they run into liability issues for using cannabis as a harm reduction strategy as opposed to diagnosing the patient with cannabis use disorder?
And who would be concerned in your mind? A regulator?
A family member.
A family member, right.
Comes and finds out,
Their therapist said they should take cannabis.
Right.
Okay, great question.
Or is, okay with it as opposed to trying to convince the patient that they have a drug problem with their cannabis?
Yeah, this is a debate I see around the country in cannabis. Can it be used for drug and alcohol? Dr. Adnoff, So, but there's other cultural issues I'll see in the Indian community, in the Jewish community, where say we're not going there. Okay, well, that might be an extra layer there, and you might have an unhappy person because of that rub, right? And they say, well, I'm just trying to care. So the way the malpractice will work is, okay, I'm an unhappy person. The malpractice attorney who's going to bring it on their behalf will say, well, just give me everybody's name who you're mad at. And they will be listed. And then they will list your entities. Okay, well, they have an LLC, I can tell from the Florida Secretary of State, you're all getting listed. I'm gonna sue your entities, I'm gonna sue anyone who touched that caused the civil discomfort, I call it. And then it goes into allegations. So then we all have to, in the sue, we have to say, okay, well, who's your malpractice carrier? Who's her malpractice carrier? The claims examiners have to get together and say, okay, well, mine's on the hook for that, yours is on the hook for that, and it's a nightmare coordination. Right, but if that other person, like an uninsured driver, isn't properly covered, and their employer says, yeah, she messed up, we're not gonna, pursue whatever, their insurance company denies it, yeah, that individual professional can be sued. Like I do OSHA, so I often go into a factory and say, guard that machine. If I said 6 inches instead of 2 and someone loses their hand, I'm in a suit. I'm a professional, right, in that regard. So yeah, it pulls through.
I think what I really liked about that kind of where it dovetails, is what he said is when there's a lawsuit, they want to expose open everything. So they look at the businesses, they look at the members of the business, like they're looking at everything. So the objective that you have when we talk about insurance, you still want it, you still need to leverage that. But you're reducing your liabilities. I think he talked about having insurance not only for your business, but also for your professional license. Right? So you're segmenting the two different types of assets in different entities as well. So you can do that for asset protection at the same time, so that when there is a lawsuit, and instead of getting that reported to the MPDB, it doesn't have to because the license wasn't attached to the lawsuit. So every time the insurance is involved, when your license is involved in the settlement, they have to report it to the MPDB.
Yeah, and we can name your entity. So like when you get insurance, you say, give it to me as a professional, but then there's a thing called an additional insured. And for you 1099ers out there, is the entity you're 1099ing to list you as an additional insured? Then you have their insurance. Well, what is their insurance? You should probably know. What's it cover? And then whatever the gaps are, well, what's the entity that I name? Maybe, what could it be? It could be one of the structural entities you create with the team, right, that has 2% liability.
Any other questions?
All right, well, thank you, panel. Wonderful. Just in closing, remember, I'll get all the proceedings out to everybody this week. I promise you that. All the presentations will be in PDF format. We're doing the recordings. Thank you, AV guys. Tim, Cassie, thank you. Everybody have a safe trip home.